Jeffrey Epstein remains one of the most scrutinized figures of the modern era, not only because of his crimes, but because of the powerful networks that surrounded him. His wealth, secrecy, and access to influential people have fueled countless theories about his ideological motives, including that he was linked to atheist movements or that he sought to undermine Islam. Epstein has been linked to many famous atheists and has connections with the likes of Richard Dawkins, Lawrence Krauss, Steven Pinker, Daniel Dennett, and Stephen Hawking. Atheists believe that right and wrong actions are subjective and that it should be humans deciding what is good or bad, not God. Islam has been constantly getting attacked by these individuals. They claim that Islam is backwards and has no place in the modern world. These ideas are often pushed by the individuals previously mentioned, but also the media. They mainly target young and vulnerable Muslims who may lack sufficient Islamic knowledge. This is why it's important to teach our children about the importance of Islam and also educate them on other beliefs and why Islam is the truth. This must be done in a way that doesn't feel forced, but in a way that is logical. Here is an email that Lawrence Krauss, a theoretical physicist who is constantly attacking Islam, sent to Epstein, where he is sharing a message sent to him by a young Muslim. The email subject is labelled as "one Muslim at a time." Lawrence says,
"Hi, back in the US. Let's talk. Things developing slowly. P.S. couldn't resist sending this, which came today. To Dr. Lawrence Krauss, I would like to start off by thanking you, not only for the enlightenment I now enjoy due to my eyes now being open to the amazing world of science, but also for your persistence on sharing your knowledge and your tenacity and conviction while doing so. I've learned and enjoyed your videos and lectures tremendously, and my favorite has to be The Greatest Story Ever Told. I am a 22-year-old Middle Eastern male, born in a typical Muslim Middle Eastern family and raised by devout Muslim parents. Ever since I was old enough to understand, I was told that I was created by Allah and that the Quran is His word and law, and if I did not follow what He said to the letter, I would burn in hell, where every day is like 1,000 earthly days, and every time you burn you would grow new skin and flesh to burn again, torture that would last for eternity. But He, Allah, doesn't want to do it because He loves me, and in essence, it's actually me forcing His hands into doing so for willingly disobeying His commands. Thinking back at it, it truly is an act of child cruelty, not to imply that my parents meant it to be cruel, but that it is a method of unintended cruelty, one which most every Muslim parent unintentionally inflicts on their child because they feel that it is part of their religious duty towards the child. As a child, I was also told that the Quran, a book which was written over 1400 years ago, had scientific evidence that science was just now discovering. Surrounded by other Muslims, I had no one contradicting my beliefs or to present an alternative arguments. Thus, I never questioned what I was taught or the claims Islam made. However, I've wondered how most scientists did not embrace Islam despite it having the facts I was told it had. The scientific evidence argument is one that Muslims use to this day, and with how easy it is to disprove those using the tools available in this day and age, such as the internet, to see what actual scientists have to say about the so-called scientific facts, I am surprised that more Muslims are not questioning Islam. I was content with my life as is. Sure, I had a few questions about Islam, and I was told that was normal, and that thinking too much is a sin. Because Allah created the universe, thus man could not solve its riddles, and profusely thinking of the matter would lead to mental disorders. That was until the spring of 2012, when my father was admitted to the hospital for an unknown condition. It was thought to be malignant, but we prayed it wasn't, and I was torn. I was fairly westernized at the time, so the first thought that came to my mind was, why do bad things happen to good people? My father, being the best person I know, should not suffer the way he is. However, that thought was quickly abandoned, because in Islam it would be considered a sin to question Allah on His reasons, and illness is actually one of His tests. Sure, it was hard, but I tried to consolidate myself with a few prayers. I went to YouTube and proceeded to view a few prayers, and from there went on to view some religious seminars, until something caught my eyes on the related videos column. It was a debate between the Imam and Christopher Hitchens, and I thought to myself, I have no idea who this guy is, but he is going to get dominated. I even remember thinking to myself, who in their right mind would argue against Islam? What argument could one present? But that was not what happened. Hitchens actually had me thinking on a few points, not saying he won me over, but he got the wheels spinning. So I continued to the next debate. The more I learned, the less I believed. Slowly but surely I was starting to doubt what I've based my life on, and I realized that Islam wasn't actually perfect and irrefutable, a thought that overnight destroyed it to me. Having a void left from where my religion was, I started filling it in with science and reason, and created my own Holy Trinity, Hitchens, Dawkins, and yourself. Knowing how things work and how the universe functions is truly comforting, and it is more magical and mystical than any middle-aged book. One day, me and a friend who happens to be a master's degree holder in engineering were watching the sun rise, and out of the blue he asked the question, I wonder why the sky is red. And I, being a management degree holder, knew the answer. My first thought was one of pride, but I did not attempt to explain as not to be seen as presumptuous. Then I suddenly came to a startling realization. The journey of becoming an atheist has helped me evolve into a more learned being. Instead of going to the default Muslim answer of everything Allah, I actually tried to look beyond the surface and read what science had to say on the matter, and on some cases even applied the mathematical formulas to see it work with my own eyes. I also view the world differently. For one, Middle Eastern politics makes sense, as Muslims are extremely xenophobic. Not only are they fearful of other religions, but also from the other sects of Islam. However, as a rational third-party observer, it makes perfect sense why the actions of the parties involved are irrational. Not only had my scientific horizon expanded, but I also learned more about my own religion, and different sects as well as other religions. Instead of the default Muslim argument of, we are right because Allah said we are, I read and listen to what others had to say, and how they define their religion and beliefs. Not that it really matters when they are all defending the nonsense with non-reason.
The young man is clearly misguided. He speaks of Islam without proper knowledge. He says he was westernized and had interest in atheism. It seems as if though he was already looking for a way out of being Muslim and was trying to justify himself without having properly looked for the answers within Islamic teachings, instead learning from what he describes as the holy trinity of atheists Hitchens, Dawkins and Krauss. Islam makes more sense than atheism because it offers a coherent explanation for existence, purpose, morality, and human nature. Questions that atheism often leaves unanswered or explains in fragmented ways. Islam does not ask people to abandon reason. Rather, it repeatedly appeals to intellect, reflection, and evidence. The Quran consistently invites human beings to think deeply about the universe, themselves, and the order that governs all things. Islam also provides a rational foundation for order and intelligibility in the universe. The laws of physics, the precision of cosmology, and the complexity of life point toward intentional design rather than chaos. From an Islamic view, this order reflects divine wisdom, hikmah. Atheism may acknowledge order but ultimately attributes it to chance or necessity, without explaining why such necessity exists in the first place. Islam, by contrast, grounds natural law in a conscious, intelligent creator who sustains the universe at every moment. Another area where Islam offers greater coherence is morality. Atheism struggles to justify objective moral values. If human beings are merely products of evolution and survival instincts, then concepts like justice, human dignity, and moral obligation become subjective preferences rather than universal truths. Islam, however, grounds morality in divine command and divine knowledge. Right and wrong are not human inventions, but reflections of Allah's wisdom and justice. The question of death itself highlights a major contrast. Islam explains death not as annihilation, but as a transition to accountability and eternal life. This belief satisfies humanity's deep intuition that justice must extend beyond this world, where oppression often goes unpunished and righteousness unrewarded. Atheism provides no such resolution, leaving ultimate injustice unanswered and human struggle ultimately meaningless. Islam offers a comprehensive, rational, and deeply human explanation of existence. It explains where we come from, why we're here, how we should live, and where we're going. Rather than dismissing reason, Islam elevates it, while acknowledging its limits. Atheism may describe fragments of reality, but Islam provides the full picture, uniting reason, morality, purpose, and eternity into a single, coherent worldview. You also have to question why evil people like Epstein are working with atheists in order to try and destroy the image of Islam. They see Islam as a threat to their agenda. We must always stay true to our faith and not allow ourselves to be deceived like the young man in the email. We can't allow ourselves to fall victim to these evil individuals. They know where they're going when they die and want to take as many of us with them.